Hey, what's up, everybody? We have a new YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe right now. Leave a comment on the video. Share it with your friends. It's also a podcast, 3 and Out, wherever you listen with me, John Middlekauff, Apple, Spotify. We have you covered, as well as thevolume.com. We have merch. Check out. I got 3 and Out hats right now. Thevolume.com. Search the podcast. Buy some merch.
Here with a special guest. Southern California native. You might have heard of him. He Super Bowl champion. I feel like is almost not strong enough given that you have three-time Super Bowl champion, Andy Reid. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing good, John. How about you?
I'm doing really, really well.
Good.
I saw this video recently. It was when you got introduced in Philadelphia and how you were bringing, everyone was talking about the West Coast offense and you were bringing over kind of your version that you had. And I was just thinking today, you have 3 Super Bowls. Bill Walsh has 3 Super Bowls. Your origin as a coach in the NFL, at least under Holmgren, who was a Walsh guy, some of the symmetry there. You're a West Coast guy, born and raised.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. You played the Niners a couple times in the Super Bowl, and you got to play your former team. It's worked out pretty well as the head coach of the Chiefs.
Yeah, no, it has. I've been fortunate. We're all lucky to be in the National Football League. You've been there, you know that. And then to play San Francisco, where I coached at San Francisco State on one of my early jobs, and so I'm partial to that city. I mean, I'm an LA guy that's partial to that city. But and then obviously we had such a great time in Philadelphia, and great people there that I'm still very close to.
My mother is very angry at me. She's from Northern California, but she is the biggest Chiefs fan you'll ever meet because of you and what you did for me. And I picked against you guys multiple times, like a lot of people, and I regretted it a lot. How about this Super Bowl run? I mean, you were an underdog playing on the road, going to Buffalo, pretty historic place. Talk to me about just pretty crazy season, and you guys really hit the gas pedal at the end.
That was a different.
I apologize too for picking against you. It won't happen again.
That was a different route that we took this year for sure. We'd always had home field advantage and kind of worked through that. But I was so proud of the guys, and I think that's probably what will stick out to me about this team, about sticking together, working through the highs and the lows of the season. Season was up. We had ups and downs offensively. Defense was very consistent. Offense was not, but we grew, and nobody pointed fingers, which was a great thing. Tribute to the guys and the coaches. So, I love your mom. So other than that, it's great.
I was talking to Veach. The teams that gave San Francisco trouble throughout the year: Baltimore, Cincinnati, and the Browns. AFC North, tough division. Historically, you guys early on in the Mahomes era, a little more offensive. You guys were a defensive team. I mean, is this the best? You played with some good ones with Jim Johnson, but best tackling secondary of your career?
No, they did a great job. Those were all young pups last year, and then they kind of took off once we got into the playoffs last year, and then coming into camp, I'm going, oh, these guys, this is going to be the strength of our team is this defense. The windows were smaller, man coverage was tighter. And they have great leadership there. So I wasn't surprised by it at all. Spags is a phenomenal coach, as are the other defensive coaches. And so it didn't surprise me. I knew the offense was going to take time, and especially finding somebody opposite Kels.
Yeah,
is so important. We had Juju, we had Sammy in those positions, and Pringle for a couple years. All those guys had learned how to play opposite Kelson in space, but they all had experience. So here's Rasheed coming in from SMU, comes in, and he's a heck of a player.
Good young player.
Yeah, but learning all of that, learning that inside stuff and how to maneuver off linebackers, nickels, safeties, took some time. And not because of lack of effort by any means. It was just you have to do it. And then Kelsey and Pat helped him.
Yeah.
And I thought that was, for his maturation, that was invaluable.
A lot of people talk about you, offensive guy, quarterback guru. You're a former offensive lineman, but you've dealt with the quarterbacks going back to far, at least in the pros. Is that an area that you just grow at over time, or is it something you think that just comes natural to you? Because offensive lineman, quarterback, it's not like you're a former quarterback.
Yeah, Jim McMahon had that line where he said he came to came to Green Bay, and I'm coaching the quarterback. He goes, I knew it was time to retire when one of my linemen was coaching me, which is kind of true. But there's nobody that
I guess you guys threw the ball a lot when you were playing in college in BYU.
Yeah, and there's nobody that knows a good quarterback more than the O-line. I mean, you go in and scout somebody, you want to scout a quarterback, go talk to the O-line. They'll tell you whether he's got it or doesn't have it. So it was just a matter of learning the fundamentals. Mike Holmgren was great in teaching me that. And I worked with Steve Mariucci, John Gruden. I mean, these guys were phenomenal with that position. So I was able to learn a lot from them. And then for Favre, Doug Peterson to welcome me in to that club was also special. And we had a great relationship, and I hope I was able to teach him a little bit about 3 techniques.
You seem pretty calm, at least when it showed you during the Super Bowl, and you guys were down a lot of that game. Patrick also seemed very calm. You could see it in his eyes. Were you ever nervous at points in time in the game? Do you get nervous anymore in the middle of a game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's nervous or anxious or what. I don't know what term it would be, but I didn't feel that way. I felt like we saw a lot. We didn't run a lot of plays in the first half offensively. So coming in the second half, I felt like we had a full load that we were able to bring at them, and we'd still be okay.
Got a rhythm.
Yeah, it was just a matter of getting in rhythm, and we were able to do that. Yeah.
You think that overtime situation? I gotta go back. I was talking with Mike Frazier. You know, it was a point of emphasis, but you guys were part of the team that was part of the rule a couple years ago when it happened with Josh Allen. So it's like top of mind when you haven't been, because the 49ers took a lot of heat for it didn't quite feel like they knew what you guys had a clear plan. Yeah. And is that something, do you think because you were part of that Josh Allen situation, or just older coach, you've been around the block, or why do you think you emphasize that so much?
Yeah, well, Mike has done that. I mean, I have him stand in front of the team and tell the guys.
Kelsey said it on his podcast.
Yeah, we do it during training camp. We do it during the playoffs because it's a little different. You know, we go all the way through and knock all that stuff out. And then, you know, I know it's different once you hit I will tell you this, because Shanahan is a brilliant guy. And it's not that they didn't – that was a toss-up, really.
Yeah.
If you take their offense and how it rolls – this was just what we thought was best for us.
When their defense had to be gassed. I don't think it's crazy to take the ball first.
That's right. I know, and he took so much heat for it. I said in my press conference afterwards, that's a toss-up. You know, if I'm the Niners, I'm not sure I don't take the ball. So, but what we thought was best for us was, if we could, you know, go play on defense and then go from there. Have an idea what you're looking at. You might gain an extra down there. You know, more willing to go for it on 4th down, and out of just need to score. So, anyways, that's what we chose.
What are your thoughts? I saw Spags say, I think he told Peter Schrager that he hunted down Purdy's number and texted him just because he was so impressed with him. And in my neck of the woods, he's taking a lot of heat, which is crazy. His last pick in the draft is story. I mean, you've been around the league a long time. Have you ever seen the last pick in the draft by second year playing like that? What are your thoughts on Brock Purdy and the overall conversation around him?
I think he's a great player. I remember listening to his coach,
Matt Campbell.
Talk at Iowa State, Matt Campbell. And Matt said that this guy completely changed their program around. And I went, all right. I mean, that's pretty impressive for a kid from Arizona coming in and changing this whole program around. Well, you look at it, and that's kind of what he did there.
Took him to a different level.
Took him to a different level. And there's no fraud when you're in the NFL. I mean, you're either good or you're not good. You're not just able to get in there and throw the passes like you were throwing them with accuracy and being composed in the huddle, in the pocket, and with 300-pound men trying to rip your head off. I mean, those things just don't happen. That's unless you're good. So he's a good player. And now it's just a matter of him continuing to build on it, which he will, because he's that kind of guy. He helped change a program around. He's not going to change that way. He's going to keep working to be the best he can be and the best in the league if he can do that.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. You know, the first car I ever got, I was 16 years old, and my grandpa gave me a ride. And like any young lad who got a car that, let's face it, would not have been my first choice, I had to touch it up a little bit. And we tinted out the windows. We added a big subwoofer to the back. And you could hear me from miles away coming home. My parents sure loved me for that one. So did my neighbors. But I think the key to any young person getting a car is to personalize a little bit, because you're probably not going to get your dream car. And as you get older, you kind of become a car person or you don't. But you definitely have preferences, right? Some of us like bigger cars. I know I do. I've only had big cars, SUVs. And there are certain non-negotiables. I like 3 rows of seats. Now, ideally, I don't have kids right now, so I take out that 3rd row seat, and I like a big, I like a lot of trunk room. Some people, don't like SUVs, like smaller cars. I've never been that big since my high school car of tinting the windows. I don't care if you see me or not, but I know some people, like, the first thing they do is tint the windows. It's crazy. The older you get, I had to have the subwoofers. The subwoofer, I couldn't listen to music for 5 minutes with the subwoofer like I did when I was younger. But there is something very, very special about that first car. I don't care how many cars you get since, how much money you make to get sweeter cars. You never quite forget that first ride and some of the memorable moments that you had in it in your high school years. So with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, roof rack bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, at these prices, you're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply.
On the Super Bowl opening ceremonies, you like the 49ers and you guys crossed paths, and you grabbed their big left tackle and you gave him this hug, like the one that got away. Because remember, you guys wanted him, and you just kind of, you guys had this big man embrace, you and Trent.
Yeah.
So, pretty decent player.
He'll go down as one of the all-time greats. He's an unbelievable athlete. Good guy.
What this week now going into free agency, does this ever get old to you? You feel rejuvenated? You just want another Super Bowl? The same energy?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good.
Retirement talk? I always poo-poo that when people ask.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm good. I'm blessed to have Veach and who you know personally, and so he brings great energy. He's always going to do his best to supply you with good players. I work for a great organization. Clark Hunt heading that up. I work with Mark Donovan, who you know. Yeah. So, we've got a lot of familiar faces there and good people, and Rick Burkholder, who you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
cohesion.
Guys, a lot of guys that have been together a long time. So I'm in a good place. I enjoy it there, and I've got good players.
We talk a lot on the show about coaches getting involved in personnel, and you've done that before, but you really, Veach is the one running that entire thing. How much easier does that make your life? Focus on the team for 6 months. Obviously, he comes to you with players.
Yeah, when I came back to Kansas City, I wanted to focus more on football. I was done with the personnel thing. If you're going to do it the right way, it takes too much time to get it done. I know, there's always time, but I'm going to try to exhaust all of it. So if I'm watching players, I'm going to watch everybody. That's how I did in Philly. If you're on the board, I'm going to have watched you and not just one game. And then, but I was done with that. I think it's probably too much to try to do both. And so in this day and age, you got this technology is crazy.
It is.
But it takes time to look at it.
Yeah, it does.
So, but you've got everything. And so Brett, and then I have full trust in Brett. I did in John Dorsey, I have it in Brett. And so I was great with take it and run, man.
Well, I'll get you out of here on this combine. I'm sure you've been to a lot. It seems like a lot of coaches are not coming to this anymore. You just were coaching like 3 weeks ago. You're here. Is this something that still means a lot to you? Do you like coming here? Do you feel like just getting to shake that player's hand? It's the first time. People don't realize the coaches, first time they're going to meet the player is right now. You didn't even watch a lot of these guys. You're working during the season.
That's right. Yeah, so
it's valuable for you.
That's right. And for the coaches to do the interview, I don't really care about the other stuff. We can watch that on tape. But the interviews, to sit in front of a guy and talk to him and see how they react to you, the questions, the coaches asking the questions, I think that's what I get out of this.
Trent McDuffie walks in, you meet him for the first time, you feel a little more comfortable.
Yeah, how are you going to handle this? Sit down here, man.
That's a decent draft pick, huh?
Yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah.
Well, Coach Reid, congratulations, and get ready for number 4.
You too, man. You're cooking now. You got it all here.
We're ready to go.
Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, man. Appreciate you, John.